Hey everyone, Richard Carlton here. I'm here with Margaret. Say hi, Margaret.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so I'm here with Todd, and Margaret and I are going to do a quick introduction to all this. So this is week four, week 4 of the launch for the Claris FileMaker 2022 release. The year is 2025. Margaret, why don't you continue the introduction for me real quick?
We are continuing the week 4, right, of the discussion with 2025. We're doing this. We're doing AI. AI has been a really big part of the FileMaker 2025 release. It is probably like the reigning edition that they are advertising the most, as FileMaker 2025 has added a lot. Improved AI capabilities is the big one. As a result, we're trying to help the FileMaker community catch up in terms of AI knowledge. There's been a lot of curiosity about how do I apply this? What is the use case? What am I doing? Which is totally understandable because it is a difficult topic. As a result, we are now in week 2 of AI adventures. Last week we had Wim come explain AI from the ground up, to like conceptually what we're looking at, what models are, all that jazz. We are also having a really good beginners to intermediate level discussion with Todd on AI, doing kind of the same thing but different. Different educators are going to focus on different stuff. But we're basically here to help you guys figure stuff out with the assistance of some really awesome and brilliant people. So,
where are they?
Yeah, who are they?
I only see three people in here.
Definitely not me. Okay,
not me. And Wim was talking trash about how much Todd sucks. So it was no,
okay.
Not at all. We've got the top tier people from the top consultancies making major contributions to the Claris community. It's really, really awesome. I am just the TV station, the news station, right? And so this is just another syndicated show that's on our network. So yeah, so that's all we do. Me and Margaret do. We try to keep the lights on and that running. So Todd Geist is with Proof+Geist. His name is in the title, which is great. Very nice.
Here.
There he is, a Proof+Geist, or Geist Proof, as I used to say. Cool. So you're starting this. So I'm going to take notes, and then so this is super important for everyone. So I'm going to say this, but Margaret, you have to reinforce this. And the idea is that if people have questions, if you have a question, please ask the question. You're watching this on YouTube, Twitch, and Discord. If you're doing it live, if you're watching a recording, write down your question, submit it to the community, do something. But if you're live, YouTube, Twitch, or Discord, Discord's more chatty. And it's more of a real-time conversation. Margaret can make sure that each and every one of you has access to that if you want, right? To make sure you have access to Discord. But if you ask the question, there's probably 100 other people have the question. We had hundreds of people last week watching Wim, probably well over 1,000, over a couple thousand over the course of a month or two. And so it's very high traffic kind of training. If you have a question, I guarantee, I can't emphasize this enough, other people have the question. Please ask it. And otherwise, Margaret's going to have to ask the questions herself, or make them up or something, right? So Todd, what do you think about purple? Like that. So we'd rather be on topic, right? Cool. All right.
We're gonna dig into these new script steps. So over the course of the week, we're going to start at a very basic level, and we're going to work through looking at and actually writing code and testing code in. With these script steps, so we can see the problems, because quite frankly, these are a little tough. Like the concepts are new, and the script steps are complicated. They're the most complicated script steps in the platform. Somehow, like, the generate response from model has 11 or 12 options, something like that.
It's quite a few.
Yeah. And so it's confusing. So I got some demo files we're gonna work with. We're gonna write some stuff. We're gonna try some stuff. We're gonna dig into where the rough spots are and where the smooth spots are, and kind of get you hopefully set up to start exploring the stuff on your own, and also hopefully open up your mind into what's possible with these new things, which is pretty cool. Like the new possibilities are pretty dramatic. And so, like, I think maybe the first thing, as I start to talk to customers, one of the things we're getting from people who, maybe aren't as connected into the community as the folks here listening on on the live stream here because you guys are committed. But we're hearing from people that even with these script steps, they're just not. They think that maybe they've heard about vibe coding, they've heard about all this new stuff, and they're thinking that in order to take advantage of that, they have to move outside the Claris platform. And I'm here to say today and through this week, that's what I'm going to try to prove, is that that is just not true. And in fact, the same kind of constraints around whether or not a project makes sense in FileMaker uh, without AI makes sense with FileMaker with AI. It basically comes down to, you're not going to serve 10,000 connected users like you can't now when with any FileMaker system.
Correct.
But if you have a system that's functioning well without AI, you can add AI to it and start to get some really cool and fun features and useful features without shifting your entire all of the work you put into that FileMaker system into something else. I can't stress this enough because we're hearing this from people and they're worried and they're scared and they're afraid they're not going to be able to keep up with the general IT space or the general app development space, and it's just not true. Some of that will come. A big chunk of that comes from what's natively in the platform now, which you learned about with Wim last week, and we're going to get into today. And some of that will come in the form of add-ons and tools that people like us will create and make available, like Proof Chat, which will be able to leverage that even farther. So you can still use FileMaker, but you'll start to get some AI stuff. So that is, that is just the most important thing to remember. Don't let people freak you out too much about this. So today we're gonna look at sort of the simplest. Actually, it starts simple, but we're gonna peel it back and start to get complicated as we dig into really just a couple of script steps here, and some of their related functionality, and try to build out some features. And I have to tell you, I'm still learning, like how to prompt the models the way they need to be prompted, and how to tweak these things to make them really reliable, and also just like the edge cases and where things work well and where they don't. So we're going to have problems. Like this is not going to work perfectly, but we're hopefully going to give you enough that you can start exploring this stuff on your own and know what to do when you bump into those errors and some of those constraints, and figure out how to move forward. Cool.
To be honest, Todd, watching people like you or Nick or other smart Wim people struggle a little bit while you're coding is super educational. And I forget this, but they like watching how you troubleshoot.
Yeah.
How do you, when it gives you an error, what does Todd do? I mean, you break out a beer and a guitar and you keep going.
I get more coffee. Is what I do.
Yeah. Well, then, yeah. So, but
well, it's a whole skill set.
It's a whole skill set of what to do with when the blinky red light comes on and you're flying. What the hell do you do, right? And it is a skill set. So cool. Yeah. All right.
Awesome. So today we're gonna dive into this. Tomorrow we're gonna do more on generative response, perform RAG action, and kind of clean up any of the other stuff we have here that's not done. Day 3 is going to be all about Proof Chat, and we're going to get into how it is going to be integrated in, how you're going to be able to integrate it into your systems. It's a bit rough right now. Not the chat part and the tool part, and getting into that isn't, but we need to make it really solid so that your experience when you get a chance to try it is going to be as guided and as solid as possible. Yes, Richard.
I have a copy of FM Starting Point for a customer called Big Valley Aviation. They would love to have a chat feature. Can I build this in there while we're doing this?
Possibly. So here's what I think. Possibly, but I've already talked to Margaret about this. What I'm thinking is, I think I want to take another couple of weeks to put this into a form where there's a set of instructions and you could walk through it. And then what I'd love to do is come back on the live stream in a couple of weeks and we'll do it live, if that's cool with you.
That would be really great.
Yeah. That'd be stellar. Yep.
That would be great, because if here's the thing, everyone knows this. If you're out there thinking about AI, I've already had my first win with AI where it solved the customer problem. And so I'm sold on it. All of you have not done AI. I'm thinking Larry the Marine and a whole bunch of you out there, and David Angel and Margaret. We got a whole bunch of people here. If we can get you your first win where you use it, AI does something, yet you can tangibly ascribe value to it, right? Is it, how much time did it save during the day? You know, why, you always ask Todd, why are you here and why should we give it? AI should make your life better. It should do something better, faster, more accurately, something. It has to do something. And when you get the first win, which is what I'm talking about here with all of you, then it just starts to roll. Oh, you got your first FileMaker project successful. Now what's the next step? So the chat might be the first step for some people, Todd, right?
Yeah,
So
it could be, but I think there's some simpler steps. So I hope even by the end of the day, everybody can go, and if you got
and get a first win.
you get a
Okay,
first
cool.
win, because the first
Yeah,
win is actually pretty easy.
cool.
It gets a little more, I mean, it quickly ramps up, but the first win is pretty easy. So yeah, hopefully by then. But I think what the chat will do is give you a sense of sort of wow, kind of like what's possible. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't necessarily know how all the pieces fit together perfectly, but I can start to see like with some effort, I can make this happen and give people an experience which really can't be matched by anything without it. So it's pretty cool.
Cool.
And
All
then
right.
so that's day 3. Day 4, we're gonna dive into MCP servers and MCP clients, and we'll use Claude Code. We'll use Claude AI chat, the Claude um, chat thing for that. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll use N8N for making the MCP servers and connecting to a FileMaker server. Um, this stuff that I show in N8N is coming to the Claris platform as hopefully soon, but we don't have it yet. So we're going to use N8N to introduce those concepts. And then day 5, I'm leaving open right now. We'll see what I was going to do some stuff on automatic, but it's not ready. So we'll have either an AMA or we'll go back and dive into some of the stuff we looked at earlier
Or
in the week.
open Q&A.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
always love
Something
that.
like
Yeah.
that.
That's an AMA is. It's
Yeah.
Ask Me
Ask
Anything.
me
It's
anything.
another.
Oh, AMA. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought that was some sort of fighting
MMA.
martial
Yeah.
art. Oh, that's MMA.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cage fighting.
AMA. Yeah. So maybe we'll do that, or we'll dive into something that we, turned up in the middle of the week and we're like, okay, we should take more time on that. So that's what I hope for the journey today. So let's jump in here and let me pull up the example solution we're going to be using and just take a look at it. So this is it. It's your basic, starting point light, and just thinking very simple here. So we don't have to explain a lot of the features, customers, contacts, invoice, and products.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right? Not a bunch of, not super difficult. If we look at the relationships, we really only have one table occurrence here. We're not doing a lot of fancy FileMaker stuff. Just keeping it simple. And really, there's not. I mean, even the edit buttons don't work. We're not focused on the edit stuff right now. What we're focused on is layouts and schema, kind of, that's where we're at. So what can we do with AI? I want to point out there's a couple of search bars here. And that's because we're gonna make a different one. We're gonna start with a simple one, and we're gonna go to try something more complex, and see if we can get something more fun to work. But the big win, for example, is name Stam, and that did not come close to working. Wow, did I have the right script on here? I should. Starting off perfectly. That's correct.
The wonders of live demos.
It could be. Are these set up for search?
That means they're, yeah, good question. They have a name or?
Find mode.
Or were they not enabled in find mode?
Find customers named. I don't know. I know there's one in here, Stam. Oh, maybe. Yeah, let's just see. There we go.
Okay.
So we got 2, right? So I think I didn't have those fields in layout mode. So there are some of the things you need to know, right? So how did we do that? So that script is pretty simple. It's right here. We're gonna look at this configure OpenAI in a second. we're taking that user prompt, which is this field right here, putting it in a variable, perform find by natural language. OpenAI is the name of the account that's configured here. I'm using ChatGPT 4.1 mini here, which is probably the smallest one you can get by with. This is part of like learning this stuff is, okay, if I'm doing a find, if I'm doing perform find by natural language, I probably can't use the dash nano one. It probably is, it's not going to be able to handle it, but the mini will, and certainly the 4.1 will. And those have different costs. So those are kinds of the things you have to figure out. That's the only script step that's new. Everything else here, you guys know. This is just gathering the error, and then if there's no error, we clear the prompt. So that's all this script step does. Perform find by natural language. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty straightforward. So.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Now, by default, it's going to perform that find by it's going to look on the layout and it's going to see what fields are available for find mode. And then it is going to feed that to the model along with the user's question. And that's going to go to in this case, OpenAI. And OpenAI is going to send back a find request. Does anybody know what the find request format is? Points to the audience.
We're going to let anyone want to put that out there, what the find request format is?
So you don't see it in this simple case, but what it's actually doing is generating Richard's got his hand up.
Well, I'm thinking, like, we're talking about the SQL stuff, or what?
No, this is not SQL. This is performing an actual find. And this is awesome because finds are fast and they don't have any of the pitfalls that SQL has, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Correct.
And they don't have any of the performance issues that semantic search has, which is semantic search works, but it's got, you're not going to do, 20, 30,000 records in semantic search with a big chunk of data in there. And with semantic search, you have to update your index all the time. Like, there are use cases for semantic search. Don't get me wrong. There are use cases, but finding records is just not a good one for semantic search because it's way too much overhead to build up. Because remember, to do a semantic search, you have to take the data you want to find. You have to put it into a blob of text. You have to feed it to the vector and store it as a vector in FileMaker, and then do that semantic search.
And a vector in FileMaker is an image in a container.
It's in the container field. That's right. Yeah.
So semantic search, at some point, we're going to have to talk about where it's useful, because as soon as we found out in the last version of FileMaker that we were trying to do searches by having basically a non-index search, right? A non-index search, and an index search is the height. We beat this on the crew a lot, on the audience a lot. High speed, high performance searches that can do millions of records, right? So yeah. Right.
So what's beautiful about this is just a find, right? So the model sends back something to FileMaker, and what it sends back is actually the execute data API format. So we can actually look at that. Let's go in here and we'll change this. One of these prompts here is this one, and we'll get the found set, not as JSON, we'll get the found set request as JSON. And now I got to put it in a target. So we'll put it in a variable called request. How about I spell request, right? All right, so boom. So now let's just do that same thing. Find customers named Stam, right? And then we'll turn on debugger. And I'll click out of the field. It'll trigger this on the script trigger. So I didn't talk about this, but this is another script step. We'll look at it here. It's really just this. Configures the AI account, and you label it with a string. This is one of the things that's a little weird. Like, it's just a string. You just call it OpenAI or whatever you want to call it. And then when you want to reference this account later, you use the same string. That's all that is. And then you pick the model provider and you put in your API key. In this case, what I'm using is I just have a custom function with my API key in it. And that's a great way to do demos. It doesn't show up on the screen and stuff. So, but you can put your API key anywhere you want, but custom functions are a nice place to do that. So then we step back. So now that we know that that OpenAI account is ready. And now we're just going to collect the user prompt. And now you can see I'm referencing that account name by that same string. And now let's step through and see what we get. So let's look at this. And here is that request. Layouts, customer view, query, customer company name, STAM. So that is an execute data API request. And in fact, I can use that to execute data API and get back those records as JSON, which is kind of cool. And you can use that for other things. Make sense so far?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, because some people were trying to guess what it was. They're like XML, FileMaker native, perform find script step, but it sends it back as DAPI. Okay.
It sends it back as the EDAPI, I call it, execute data API script step, EDAPI. And so this is kind of cool because you can use this to generate a query, and then you could modify the query afterwards. Like you could add a constraint, like only show my customers, do a search for the logged in user. You could add that to this JSON, this query variable here. And then you could perform that. You could perform that request using execute data API. What you can't do, which I'm going to show you some ways around, is you can't just run this after you've checked it and have it give you the found set. We're going to try to get to that, but that takes a few more steps to get to. We'll see if we can get to that today. So that's that one. So let's take a look at the other one. And so for people that are doing web viewer apps or using virtual lists to display, like, grabbing data from a bunch of tables and then displaying it in a dynamic table so you can display anything in it or that kind of thing, you might want to check out this one, which is pretty cool. So this gets the found set as JSON, and bonus points for what that is going to be, right? It's going to be the EDAPI response format that we get when we run this. So configure the account, boom, boom. And now we're going to get, I put it in request is kind of a dumb place to put it, but it's still the same variable. There's the data, right? And that is, let me get up a little dev utils I have here that will format this so we can look at it nice and clean. So that's this stuff, right? So if you've done data API stuff using the data API, you've done execute data API, you're familiar with this response. So that is the response back from the database. And so that's useful for all kinds of things. Any questions on that?
I have some questions about the perform find by natural
Yes.
language. This is going to be a really basic question. So it basically just performed a find request. Why would you do performed find by natural language over a basic set of find requests then?
Because this actually does natural language. So you can say, find all the customers in Alaska, spell it out, and it will search the state field with the 2-digit character code. It'll figure out how to do that. Right. So that's the thing. Like, this is actually a really important thing. This is where you're going to find uses for this all over your system, because the thing that these things are good at, whether it's the perform find or even the generate response, is they can take whatever a user types or whatever a user says, and with the proper prompting, give you back some structure that you can then just send to a script and do whatever you need to do. I don't know how many people were on the live stream I did with Proof Chat, where I showed, parsing an image, getting it in JSON, sending it to a script step with the JSON to create a record, right? So these models are good at taking a bunch of text and coming back with new text, which you can, with prompt engineering and other techniques, you can constrain down to only give you back things like, in this case, it's just giving you back the data API request format. So you can prompt a large language model to give you back a specific JSON format. And then what FileMaker did is in the back end just wrote in somewhere in FileMaker code, apply a JSON request, execute data API request, and turn it into a find and do it, right? And it's actually turning it into a find because let's go back and put this back on found set, and then let's run this again. And if I just go up and do um, Command R, you can
Yeah,
see it's
recall.
searched.
Mhm.
It actually did that search, right? So it's actually creating, it's probably somewhere in the background looping through the query that came back and setting it up, doing all the just looping through and setting fields, in find mode, something like that. It also does sorts, by the way. If you tell it to like find records and sort it in an order, you will get it. It'll do the sorts in that order too, which is kind of nice. So that kind of stuff, like you can't, you couldn't do that without a large language model, right?
That makes sense. Where you could just like talk to it and be like, "Oh, can you do this and sort for it and then sort it for me? Like find
Yes.
stem and then sort
Yeah.
it by, you know, alphabetical first name or whatever."
Yeah. Yeah.
And one request would be
Yeah. So that's pretty cool that it can do that, right? So you notice that one of the problems with this layout is that there's only a couple of fields that are actually on it. And there's these down here, but these are related fields, which I may not want to search, you know. Um, and so that's we're only searching these two fields, which isn't great. Like we'd like to search more fields than that. So how would we do that? Right? So let's take a stab at seeing if we can correct this at least a little bit before we move on to some other things. So what this gets down to is there is a new function called, well, let's just get it. Let's write it out here. So we're going to do set variable fields on layout. And there's a new function called get fields on layout. Now, actually, let me pull this out and look at it in debugger real quick, or in the data viewer, so we can see what this looks like. Yeah, so let's pull that out. Look at that over here on our watch. So this is, yeah, let me format that. There we go. Right.
there we
So,
go.
all right.
Okay, so it's not getting any of the related fields then.
Now,
Okay, so you couldn't use this to search for portals, for example.
in this case, actually, it's interesting because we have, what layout am I on here?
Customer view, which I don't know what
That's
table it's attached
interesting.
to.
Did I have that? This is the layout name, right? Get fields on layout. Let's see this again here. That's not what I would have expected. Get fields, field on layout, layout name, customer view. That's better. That's interesting. So here, look, that's another weird thing, right? So get layout name should give me the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You would think, unless it's not registering as you being on that layout for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why no, it's back to contacts. Look at that.
Huh, okay.
Weird. Customer view. It even says customer view.
Interesting. Did you have another layout like focused maybe without realizing it?
Oh, well, no, actually, I see. It actually is. These are all on that layout. So that's interesting. Yeah, so we might be able to fix this easier. So I'm still learning stuff, right? So the normally what you use this field for is to um, give the large language model the fields that it needs to do a search, right? And so I think by default, it's just doing the layout fields on the layout, and it's just giving us the fields that it works in find mode, because these fields are all on there. They're on there as merge fields, which is kind of interesting. But so let's see if we can add the rest of them and see if we can find something that searches better. So what we have to do that is we're going to configure another prompt. Configure prompt template name. Let's call this perform natural language find. Again, this is just a label. It doesn't matter. It's the same. We're just telling this is the prompt template we're doing. We're going to choose the same OpenAI provider as we're doing here. And the prompt type is a find request. And now we can look at the prompt type that's here. Right? And so this is the prompt that gets sent to the model. This is prompt engineering. This is what gets sent through it. And it is going to, by default, just add the fields on the layout. But we can add our fields in a couple of different ways. I think I'm just going to go with the simplest one right now, which is we can just continue to add. And whoops. And use these fields.
Okay, so this prompt above that is the default FileMaker prompt, and then we're adding on to it. Okay.
We're adding on to it. There's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to stick with this and just see if that gets us a little further on with where we want to go. And then we can take this prompt, the same string, and we can attach it to this prompt template name here. Boom. Okay, so before we were using the default template, now we're using a template that we've set up. Groovy?
Yes.
Okay, so if we look at our thing here, it says we should be able to find, let's see, contact's full name. We have a contact's full name on the layout. Let's see if it'll actually do this find. Yeah, it might. So let's see. So let's find I don't know, customer with contact named Melody. All right, we know that one's in there. We can see it. Melody. And it did, found that one record. So let's do that prompt again so we can see. Find customer with contact named Melody. And it found our one record, right? So that's working. So we were able to feed it more fields, whereas before that probably wouldn't have worked because it was only looking at the finds that it could go into, that it had access to in quote unquote find mode. Looks like the default behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you can do though is you could make a different, let's say on this layout, you had a bunch of fields that were unindexed, big nasty things, right? You don't want them searched. Or so what you can do is you can create a different layout that has the fields on that you want searched. And then what you would do here is you'd pass the layout name. You'd basically have a conversion. If I'm searching on customers, use my customer finds layout to get my fields, feed that to the model, and boom, it'll still do the find right here on this layout, but it will have all the fields, right? It has to be on the same table, but that way you can decide what fields to find on that are different than the fields you actually display on the screen.
Okay,
so it's kind of like people have done quick find. You've probably done that where you have a separate layout for quick find. You go over there, do the find, come back. Same idea. You just use a separate layout. Groovy?
Okay. Yeah. I think so. And then
Margaret, ask some question I can tell your ask.
The context and the invoices there are portals, right?
They are, yes.
Okay, so that's actually
Yes.
really cool because that's one of the big
Yes.
things that you can't do is you can't do finds on portals as a
You
general rule.
can here, which is nice.
Yes, that's
Um,
very cool.
yeah, I
Uh,
mean, it's subject to all of the, you're going to do a fine. So if your fines are slow, they're still going to be slow here, right?
mhm.
Um, but so if you take care to make sure that the fields you want are like it's searched. So these are available in find mode, so they're searchable. So that's why it's doing that, right? It's not returning these other fields, right? So as long as you do that, you're good. Or if you want a completely different set for doing this fine, you just do it on a different layout.
I have a dumb question. So you're on a layout which is highlighted and it's a customer record, right?
Yeah,
So we're already on a customer layout. So all the records here are customers
yeah.
anyways. So why are we telling the AI to find a customer?
I don't think we have to. We can try. Yeah,
Because it's kind of like, I mean, it seems
you're
to me
right.
you'd ask it for a customer that's in Indiana or a customer that's this or a customer. Yeah. Okay. So
I
Also
don't know
be
if there's any. How about if there's a customer named Jane? Let's just see. I don't know if there is. There is.
oh, Janet.
Janet, right? Which is what you would get
yeah.
if you searched in that field for
Yes.
Jane. Yeah. Right. So let's see if we can make it better. Find customer, um, find contact named. I don't think this will work because I think that's full name. Exactly,
Ooh.
Janet. I think that's a full name. So it did, looks like it found it. Let's do a Command R. Yeah. But it didn't put the equals in front, which is what I was hoping it would do. Right. So we can,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah, right. Because of
yeah,
all the special operator
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Now
Yep.
we're using GPT-4.1 mini. So we might have to, that's one of these, this is again sort of the learning we have to do is this prompt good enough? Or do I have to tweak it some more to get it to do, make sure if a customer says exactly something like that, make sure you put the operators in. I don't know if there's any
oh,
operators in, there's any prompting on operators here. Doesn't look like it.
okay.
So you might have to tweak the prompts to get things to cover different use cases.
All
That makes
right.
sense. We have a stack of questions. Are you ready?
Okay, go for it.
What exactly is being transmitted to OpenAI? Just
Ah,
the
good
query
question.
and or
No
field
data.
names or no data?
No data
Okay.
is going to OpenAI. What is going to OpenAI is the field names and the user prompt, schema and prompt.
There you go. Uh, can we send more than one template? You mean more than
You can
okay.
configure as many templates as you want, and you reference them the same way. So, what I think the idea with these configures are is you probably go in your startup somewhere, you set up all your templates, and then you just reference them wherever you want to use them in your scripts. Does that make sense? But you can only use one template per thing. Like it's basically in this case your template name is PNLF, but I don't have to define that in the same script. I could define that on startup. When the person starts up, I run this script step and then that's set. It's ready to go. It's stored in memory and you just reference it with PNLF. I think the better way to do this, frankly, would be to do something like set up a global with your prompt names, like your perform natural language and then set that to be whatever you want it to be, whatever. And then just always use the global to reference it. It's easier in my mind.
That would make
Um,
sense.
the,
Yeah.
the, the strings are weird. It's a little strange. Like, I don't know if I type it wrong, it won't work. Like, it's a little odd. So you could use global fields or calculation fields. You could use anything. And so, I think that's just one thing I think is a little strange is these are just strings. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you type them wrong somewhere else, you configure it once and then type it wrong elsewhere, it's going to say template not found, basically. That's what's going to happen.
That makes sense. It does allow you to see what the default template is, though, which is nice.
It does, yes. And that's good. You can start with that and tweak it and go to town with that.
We got more questions. a quick find, I use merge fields off the visible layout. If I understand correctly, that isn't an option for this?
Yes, I believe that is true. And we can determine that because we can look at what fields are on this layout. It should be whatever is returned by this script. So if we actually, there's a whole bunch of fields. Look at all these fields off here. I didn't even know these were here. There's all these fields off the layout. None of those are showing up.
I did remember that being a question at some point asked from the engineering team, and they said no, it does not grab the fields that are off the layout.
Somebody helped me build this template. I didn't even realize these were here. I didn't look that far over. But yeah, so anything that's off screen won't work. So that's again one of those things where if you want a field searchable that's not on the layout, you may need to take them. You may need to reference that layout in a different script, right? You'll need to do whatever it is. You'll need to translate the current layout to the one you want to use to get your fields from, and then it should still work as long as it's the same table occurrence, right? Based on the same table occurrence, it should work fine.
Okay.
Ruby?
Yes. So we still got more questions. Sorry.
Okay, keep going.
Do you need to give an action in the field? Could you just tell the text you search?
This is going to come down to prompting, but I think, you mean right here? Like, do I have to say find?
Yes, I think
I don't know.
saying, yeah.
Let's see. His total sales is not available. Let's just, I don't know. Let's just do a search for, looks like that worked. Let me go to somebody else. Let's do a search for Libby, but let's start up here. Yeah, that's pretty good.
There you go. Todd, is it the case that these NL finds are sharing PIA data with OpenAI?
So again, no data is going to OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
Really important to understand with perform find by natural request. There are other times when you are sending data to the language model. You need to understand that. So in this case, the only thing that is going are the field names, the field comments, and possibly, and the user's prompt. So if the user puts in somebody's serial number or social security number, that will go, but the data from the database will not.
Okay, that's actually really good to understand.
Yeah.
Would these AI functions be best to perform from server if you host your own local model?
So you can actually do this on the server, and we're going to talk about how that's done here in a second. But it's a little weird, and I don't know whether it'll be any faster. But by the way, if you have a custom model running on your FileMaker server, you're going to need a chat completion model to do this. And you should probably not be running a chat completion model on your production FileMaker server. That is a bad idea.
Yes, we had a lot of discussion about that last week. Wim's advice was against it.
You can't, you really, and I mean, it just have to, you will definitely tank your server. It will become unusable, and potentially it'll crash the AI process and maybe crash FileMaker server. So you just do not want to be running these things on.
All right, everyone. What Todd said is that you can use it on your server, no problem, but don't call him when it catches fire. That's what people actually heard. They can try it, but don't call you if they're.
So two more things to say about that real quick. Running this perform script on server to do this doesn't change doesn't have anything to do with the model, where it is, what server it's running on. Doesn't care. Like, you do not need to run perform script on server to run FileMaker server AI functions that are on your server. Like, those are completely separate. There's no connection between perform script on server and I've got my models running on my production server, which is a bad idea anyway, and you're going to be in trouble. Okay? That's really important.
Yeah, because that's not how PSOS works. I'm going to make a mental note that maybe we should do a PSOS stream again. It's like
all that's going to happen when you do a call to these models, it's an HTTP request in the background. Doesn't care whether it's on the same server or not. It doesn't matter at all. If you're going to do this with Claris AI server, I recommend you do it on a very, very large probably the either you're going to have to get some kind of NVIDIA GPU backed server. We have some. We can rent them to you. They're very expensive, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. Or go and
Oh,
oh yeah, or go and spend uh, 7 or 8 thousand on a Mac Studio M3 Ultra. You probably can pull it off with one of those. Probably close to 10 grand. You're going to need 256 to 512 megabytes of RAM to really do this in any kind of serious production server. So there you go. Yeah,
I'll go find the specs and reshare them. I had them last week with
they
Lynn's
have the
discussion.
specs. The specs are, I mean, they say NVIDIA
Absolute
GPU.
minimum.
Yeah. NVIDIA GPUs or Mac minis. Oh, I'm sorry, or Macs, but big ones, big Macs. They got to have you got to have probably 64 megabits of RAM bare minimum to run text completion. And the bigger the better, especially if you're going to be running a lot of this stuff, because otherwise it'll just queue up. The other
Uh,
options are use one of the open providers, or you can get serverless inference. We have serverless inference. You can get 50 million tokens from the OpenAI models for, I don't know what we're going to charge, $20 a month or something. And they're pretty good. And it's more private. It's still not 100% isolated to that customer, but it's not going to the big model providers at all in that case. We're sort of
what'd you call that again? Server
serverless inference.
inference.
Which is when you do a chat completion, that's what it's doing. It's inferring what it's going to send back to you, right? So that's the doohickey there. And so we can run like DeepSeek and Quen and Llama 3.3 and Llama Scout 4. We can run all those serverlessly on our infrastructure. And in that case, we keep the logs for 3 days, and all of your data is stored encrypted per API key that we give you. So that's pretty private, but there is still data going to something else. If you truly need private AI, completely only being used by you, you're going to need a big, giant GPU-backed server. And still don't make it your FileMaker server. Just run a separate copy, and or a big, giant studio is the best way to go.
Yep.
Quick question, Todd. Chat
Yeah.
completion is another word for text generation?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a weird thing. Sometimes it's called text completion, or the endpoints are usually completion
Oh,
slash
yes.
V1. Like if you look at the APIs for all these, it says completion. Anthropic says messages instead, but text completion, text generation are the same thing.
Okay, just making sure that I understood that
Yeah.
correctly.
Basically, here's a bunch of text. Give me the next thing that makes sense for this bunch of text that was here prior to that.
We have more questions.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
I'm good. It's a good thing we have an extra day because it might take us that long to get there, which is fine because this stuff is important. Like it's important to know this stuff. So
yeah.
just take the time.
I was looking at the time and I'm like, oh, I'm glad we have a spare day. Could you put symbols instead of greater than or equal to in the text? So if you searched by symbols, would that
Oh, that's a
affect
good
the
idea.
outcome?
So let me just cheat a bit here, and we'll throw total sales down here, and let's just see if it can. So I think let me just make sure it's find mode, browse mode. Yeah, it's just a big number. These are big, silly sales numbers. I wish these were our real customers. Um, so,
Don't we all?
but if we go, sales greater than,
There we go. That's practical. That's good.
let's say 200,000. Did not do it. Let's see what it's. Oh, it did. Oh, look at that. It did not. So my guess is that we're going to need to boost the model. Let's boost the model up to GPT-4.
Wait. That was a correct search. What was? Oh, it didn't include the symbols. What
It
you were
did not
looking
include
for.
the symbols, which I believe are in the default prompt. So
To be clear, between you, me, and the wall, while you go and work on your new model, but part of me is like, I can't. I ran into this before where I had an underpowered model. I had a model, but it was set for stupid mode, and I talked about this online. And knowing when you're at fault or when you need a smarter AI, right?
it's tough. There's a whole. We can talk days about that. And we'll get
Yeah.
into it more. There's something called evals or evaluations, which are essentially tests for AI, and that's going to have to be something we all learn about because otherwise you don't know.
Yeah.
And this is actually where that semantic search thing comes in handy because if you are going to perform, like, let's say you want to generate a SQL query, and so you want to see like, so I'm going to put in a bunch of prompts and just send them, and I'm going to get back a bunch of SQL, and I want to make sure that the SQL is pretty accurate. It doesn't have to be exact. Maybe it doesn't need to be exact, but it needs to be pretty accurate. You can use the vector. You can use these vector comparisons to say that yeah, like this string is within like zero point 0.9 cosine diff similarity than from this string. So you can actually start doing fuzzy matches on this stuff, which is how you get to like figuring out did this model, do I need a better model? Because I changed models and suddenly my tests are better, right? So there's definitely some things we got to learn here about this.
Yeah, and the only reason I mention this out loud because for someone like Todd or someone like me, if I put my mind to it, yeah, we'll spend the time to learn this. But when you have new FileMaker people and they hit the wall because it doesn't do what they think. Is it their fault or is it? Well, it's always their fault. It's always your fault. But is it your fault because you didn't buy a good enough model or turn it up high enough, or you just suck as a FileMaker person? It's inconclusive. What do you do, right? So that's kind of my, especially for new
It
people.
is
That's
it is one of the things that we have to learn and adapt to, no question.
yeah.
But I think we're going to get some wins even without that as we start to get in here and learn. Um, there's a couple things I could try here. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm not sure I'm going to. But I
No,
noticed
no,
there's I noticed there's nothing in here about greater than or equals, which seems a bit. There's no prompting in here. Another thing I could do is just say um, return a JSON file before a JSON schema that answers the request. And I could say something like, um, follow FileMakers, because the APIs, certainly OpenAI probably knows FileMaker's data API request format. I don't know if this will help or not, but we'll see. I've just added that in there. The other thing I can do is we can change the prompt, we can change the model from mini to 4.1. And let's see if we can do that same question and see what happens. Find sales over
200,000, I think.
200,000. There we go.
There
Found
you go.
192, right?
Nice.
So here's an example. Like I changed which thing fixed it? I don't know. One of them did. Probably changing the model.
I was going to say which one, right? You
Yeah,
think change them? Yeah,
I
because
do. I
we
do.
did two things, right?
We
We have no
did, yeah.
idea.
So we could try. So doing evals is basically moving this into a table in your system where you have a bunch of prompts and a bunch of models, and then running to see how good your answers are, how close they match, right? And then you like if I do this search, I should only find 12 records. If I do this search, I should find 15. And you can actually compare the records IDs even that I find the right records, right? So you can do some fun things that way.
I have
That's
a
kind of
quick
what you got to
question.
do to get really exact on this stuff.
So say that someone goes through this eval and they come up and you're going to use a new AI model called Beaver Force version 2.1a.
Yeah,
Okay. So Beaver Force 2.1a is made by OpenAI, say, for example, and we get it working and it's good and we ship and we launch the product and the customer is using it in the FileMaker. How long is Beaver Force 2.1a going to be supported by OpenAI? Because
great
it
point.
seems to me they're fastly iterating and
It's pretty long, but there's a good point you bring up here, and let me tell you.
because Beaver Force, I mean, I don't want to redo it because someone says, "Hey,
So this is
we're,
another reason why you want to have some tests or be able to do the stuff so that you can tell, like, hey, it's not working anymore. You can run the test and say, oh yeah, clearly it isn't. I better like tweak it because here's the thing. Let me see if I can find the right thing here. So if we look at the models for GPT here, we have GPT 4.1, 4.1 mini, all the different models. What we want though is where do they have maybe if I click on it, yeah. So
Oh my God,
see
there it
these
is.
dates? This is how you fix it to a particular release of the 4.1 model. Because here's the thing, they are going to roll out a new version of GPT 4.1. And so if you're using 4.1 and they roll it out, you're going to get new behavior. So what you want to do whenever you can
Mhm.
is use the, I think that just copied it to my clipboard with yeah, this is what I should be using.
Okay.
If I want to make sure that OpenAI doesn't change it out from under me.
What about like Linux
Oh,
with the
okay, wait. So you're saying that if you went and put that string back here, it would automatically search out that 4.1 at that specific date?
If I stay here, if I do that and they change 4.1, they release a new model like next month,
Mm-hmm.
I will keep this.
Okay, cool.
Really
Good to
important.
know. That's really good
Really
to know.
important.
well, if you have yeah, because if you have something accepted, Margaret, the customer's accepted, you're done with the project, then you don't want anyone moving the furniture.
Messing
Moving.
Yeah,
with it.
that's
Though there's
right.
also a discussion about AIs getting out of date at some point, because aren't they basically just snapshots of time?
So
So,
that doesn't really matter in this case because we're not doing searches. We're not looking for current information,
mm,
right? We're asking it to produce a JSON object in this case, basically. And it doesn't need to know that. It does know and that date, by the way, I don't know if that's the cutoff date. Um,
Because you have, like Linux
yeah,
has
so
this
look, so here,
long-term
look.
support,
This was
long-term
actually
release,
cut
right? Yeah.
off. This model was actually
Uh-huh.
cut off May 31st, 2024.
Okay.
So it was trained on data up to that point. But we don't care about that because we're not asking for like,
Mm.
you know, some website page that was published last month. We don't care.
got it.
We just want to know how to make a JSON object in this case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So LTS, long-term support with Linux installs, right? They have this, O4 version, right? So that's the one that's supposed to be supported. So have they done anything like that here? Or like what?
It's pretty much you want to go with like you want to pick one of these dates and stick with it until you want to try a new one, right? And right now they only have the one for 4.1, but if we went back and looked at like it's probably some. So here's like yeah, if we go back and look at we can't use real time, although I'll show you. So here's real time. You're gonna watch it.
Oh, look at
See?
that.
Yeah. I actually want to show some stuff with real time when I come back. It's really
Okay.
fun, but it doesn't work with the generate response model. We have to do some other things. But so this is what you'll see, stuff like this.
Okay. 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 That's
And this is
important.
still saying preview too, so they haven't even shipped this thing 100% yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of the providers have something like this, and that's what you're going
Yeah.
to want to do. Pick a specific model, not just the default like I was showing there. I wasn't really doing a good job.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, and then Rick Kalman says it's like a fully qualified model name that you want to
Yep.
use.
Yep. That's right.
Fully qualified. Yeah. Good. Good
So we
response.
spent an entire hour on one script
I'm about
step.
to say you got one script step, Todd. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but this is all relevant stuff.
It
I mean,
is
Yes.
because it's
very relevant. It's very relevant.
yeah, and
It's actually critical. Like this is so what I mean, like I said, I am still learning. I'm still finding edge cases and things I got like not quite sure of
Mhm.
as I go through this. But I've been banging on this for a while in ETS, and then the they changed not this step, but they changed the generate script step like not completely, but they made major changes to it. The less than 2 weeks before they launched the new version, so it was a whole bunch of new stuff that got behavior changes that went out, and we're still kind of dealing with some of those things. But I know they're actually working hard on improving these things, and they're taking feedback on the script steps. There's definitely things that they can do to smooth it out, but the main thing is like this is powerful, and you can start using this right away. You can start getting some fun stuff. And yeah, so we can keep going for a little bit, or what do we want
Yeah,
to?
yeah. I am. We don't have a hard stop here. I
All
Yes,
mean,
right,
it's
so
basically whenever you want to stop.
all right, so let's move on from perform find by natural. Well, let's see. Do I want to check one more? Let me check one more thing because I'm actually curious about this. So let's go back to our um, another important thing to learn. So here's our fields on layout from this layout, and let's format that so we can see it. So descriptions. Do you see these descriptions?
Yes. Are those the field descriptions that you put in the table?
They are. And let's talk about that because this is going to come up again in the next thing we talk about. And let's see, I think, let me just switch to a different layout. I think invoices, did I get rid of the fields here? No, I maybe I did on most of them. We'll take a look here. So as I change layouts, of course, we're getting the different stuff, right? Um, there's no description in this one. So there's a little bit of different behavior between this and the SQL one. So let's look at this one's behavior first. Let's look at the tables, and then let's look at, we were working with customers. Let's start here. Notice here, oh, interesting. I don't have, that's wild. I don't have this one prompted right. But so ID, these are all the fields. And notice I've got this in the comments. Most of these fields have LLM and then a short description, right? So this is prompting this is given to the get JSON, get fields on layout with JSON. But I noticed the ID isn't there. So let's see because in the SQL case, the ID, this would leave it out. So there's no ID here. The ID is not here. And the reason it's not here is because in the table, I included in at least one field, I've got LLM. So then if I include it in this tag, LLM means large language model. If I include this, that means now only use the fields that are, actually that might be because it's not on the layout. Actually, let's be clear about this. I want to figure this out. Like this is stuff I'm still trying to nail down, but this would be a good one. So let's make sure that it's just not on, whoops, the layout is what's causing that. So let's put ID on here. The SQL one and this one are slightly the same, but are slightly different. And I want to try to figure out which is which here. So do we see ID? Anybody see ID on here? I don't see ID.
I don't see a customer's ID.
There it is. Okay. So even though it's not in there, so this is a little different. So for the perform find by natural language, there's no way to limit. The way you limit the fields is with the LLM tag. This is the rule with the SQL stuff. But in the perform find one, this one we've been working on, it's based on the layout and if it's in find mode. That's how you limit it.
Okay, so
Ruby?
the two different finds will limit depending on different factors. So perform find
Well,
limits
we're going to get into
because
the SQL one tomorrow, and that is a slightly different rule base, and I didn't quite get it clear until just now.
got it.
Perform find by natural language, which is a find request. The fields that are included, well, actually, I mean, the fields that are included with this script, with this function, are based on whatever's on the layout and is available in find mode.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, that's the
So
rule.
then which one pays attention to the comments? Is that the SQL one then?
It still pays attention to the comments, as you can see, derived.
Okay.
Right. In SQL, we get a little bit different, which is it pays attention to the LLM tag. And if there's no LLM tags on any of the fields, it puts everything in there. And if there is an LLM tag, then it will only include the fields that are tagged with LLM. And the reason is because we need a way to limit what fields get put into a SQL query, right? Really important.
Sure.
You certainly do not want how many fields wide is the widest layout in starting point? What widest table? 200 fields?
At least, I think.
Yeah.
Would you say how many?
How many fields in the largest table?
No, probably 100. I don't know. Something like that.
A lot. You certainly would not want to give that to a SQL, right? It'd be too much. You would
I get that. Yeah. No,
So that's how we limit it. So
we have a question about the LLM tag.
yeah.
Okay.
Does it have to come at the front of the field description, or could I put it in the middle or end, or wherever I feel like?
I don't know.
It's probably it contains, but none of us here know.
Well, we can figure it out. Let's ask the question.
Yeah.
There's a couple functions we can use to do that. There's another one called, there's a function called getDDL. I use this sometimes, but there's a script step which I like better. And I'll go into why that is. This is kind of a funky one too. I think, let's see. First of all, These are still new, so I got to use the help all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Get table, right? You go like this, and then you go like this, and hopefully it doesn't say check back. It does. It doesn't show. Oh, but here it is. But it tells us right here. Format for a list specified as a JSON array. This is kind of a pain. Like you can do this. There's actually a simpler way to get JSON arrays now, but I just find this a little bit cumbersome, so I don't use it. But in this case, let's just go ahead and we'll make this a little bit simpler by doing a let function. We'll get the tables we want to, tables we want to do, and we'll use JSON make array, and we'll put the list here. We'll do this for a second, and then we'll do list, and then we'll do separator. Separator is going to be our bad boy. Whoop. And it's going to be a string, which is JSON. JSON is string, right? So that is going to, and if we, whoops, what did I do there?
You have a random L at the end of your.
Yes. So let's go close that. Tables, that, right? What is that? What did I miss? I missed.
You
list.
nuked your list reference, right?
I did,
Yeah,
exactly.
I saw that, and I said I don't want to say anything because I'll sound stupid. So
probably because there's nothing in there yet. So let's make a list. So then we go like this, list, and then we'll just we'll throw customers in here. And we'll throw, I don't know, we'll throw products in here. I find this just a little bit, there's a better way, which I'll show you guys tomorrow. When you're running scripts anyway, there's a better way. What did I miss? What did I miss? People help me.
Is there?
There's not a, there we go, right?
all right.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
List. We can do, let's format that. There we go.
How'd you do that real quick?
So this is using FM indent, which is Debbie. It's this thing. You guys remember Debbie Fuchs, right? She made
Fuchs. Yes. Debbie's the one. I think she's the one that started knitting the flag in the front row while I was presenting at DevCon one time, and I'm like, why are you even here?
She's the one who did the old formatter in Perl like years and years ago.
Okay, yeah.
So she made this FM indent, so you can get it on the App Store.
Okay.
Also, Monkey Bread does it too. You can format with Monkey Bread here. Oop, uh-oh. I just crashed my file.
Oh no, Maverick.
Hopefully I didn't break. I don't think, well, I might have lost that calculation I was just doing, but I'm sure I did. It nukes all those calcs, right?
Yeah, they hadn't saved it, right? Well, it wouldn't save it anyway if it's
because when you crash, it blows up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, I tell you.
Maybe I got lucky. Can I do this? Can I fake this with just a table occurrence and an array? Let's see. I got to do that. It's just hard to do this. And then, oh God, I'll never be able to do it as an array here quickly.
I can play the Jeopardy music if it would make you feel better.
Margaret, you need a hotkey for that. Just hit that.
How about this? This will work, right? We can do open array. We can do and quote and customers and close array. What do we think? Is that going to work?
Looks like it should.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
So
what are we looking at?
So now we're looking at the customers table. So this is DDL language. Get DDL for the customers table. And if you list a bunch of them in here in a list or an array, you get all of them. And we'll look at this in more detail tomorrow. But if I go to, which is the one of them I don't have any comments in. So let's find which table that is. I think it might be invoices. I got rid of all the, yeah, so I don't have anything, right? So if we change this calc up to look at invoices, because there's nothing, it's going to show us all the fields.
Because there's no when you say nothing, there's no LLM in there. That's right. What you're
Right.
saying.
So it shows us everything.
Okay.
Right?
So if you put one field in there that had LLM in it, then it's going to blow out the rules and just
Do
use the
you
one.
want to like swap to invoices and show us that? Because that'd be good.
So we're gonna go ID. Let's do customer, and we'll do LLM.
Oh, yeah. Put a comment in front of that, like, Beaver Force or something, so we see if it's a contains.
Oh yeah, good idea. So first, let's just do the this is the customer primary key, or actually,
Okay.
when we call it foreign key, even to make SQL even smarter. Foreign key, although it can figure this out usually based on table occurrences and stuff. But
Okay.
so now we put that in there, and if we go look at our function, only one thing.
Okay,
It went
great.
from showing us a whole list to only showing us the one thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's because it starts with that, or it just does it?
Let's find out. I don't know the answer. We're gonna discover.
All right, go stick something unsavory in there that everyone will remember. The beginning, right in
Let's
front of.
swap it. Let's see what it does.
Oh, okay. Oh, well. Okay, here we go. Okay, save the changes. Okay, go here.
Nope.
Has to be at the beginning.
Has to be at the beginning. There you go.
Yeah. So Beaver Force in there is going to screw everything. Okay. All right, we're learning.
We're learning. This is what we do. We learn.
No, this is valuable stuff. Super valuable
Yeah.
stuff.
I probably need to. I can answer some more questions, but I don't think I have any time to do any more demos because I do have to bounce out of here and at sometime before the top of the hour, and I got some things to do. So, how about questions? Any questions I can handle before we table the discussion until tomorrow?
Yes, just if someone like clarifying on the perform find by natural language versus perform find by SQL. So do you want to restate that again for
Yeah,
the
so
audience?
perform find is actually going to do a FileMaker find like you've been doing for, well, like if you're me, 30 something
30,
years.
35 for me, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, since the early 90s. So same thing, it's doing that, right? Perform SQL query by natural language is performing an execute SQL and a bunch of other things. This is a very powerful script step, and we're going to dive into it because it's got some neat things that you can do with it. And I want to show you all that stuff because it's super fun.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to focus on tomorrow.
And then the last question I'm going to toss at you today is only uses string data types instead of numbers or objects. Is that interfering with a number search?
Which thing was that?
I think that was probably in the default prompt, if I had to take a guess.
For
that one. Yeah, here. The configure the prompt template, if you go look at that. What'd he say it was? Uses only string data. Oh, number 5.
I don't.
No,
but that's going to be okay because the JSON is just going to put whatever it is in the field. So if it's like the number 3 in quotes, it's going to put 3 in there. And if it's a number, because it's going to find the same way, except if you search for strings and you want to do, you want to wrap it in a quote or something like that. And you might still have to do that. So yeah, learning how to prompt these things and get the behavior you want. And also based on what your users like, you could give your users a bunch of keywords that you could include in this prompt, like find exactly this, and then, give it different prompts based on whether it's exact, that kind of thing. So yeah, change the prompt based on the user who's logged in. A lot of different things you can do to customize these things.
Okay.
Yes. Someone has asked you and me, Richard.
Uh-oh.
Does FM starting point not yet implement any AI stuff?
Not yet, no.
After
we're trying to put chatbot in it, but Todd ducked that one at the first part of the show. So we asked him, and he said,
"We're gonna put it in.
We are in a month.
We'll put it in live.
We're gonna put it in live, and then we're gonna ship the update right for everyone. So we'll have to figure out what that means.
That'll be a very exciting.
Now, knowing how I am, I'm gonna get an AI model that talks smack.
Right. So I should say, here's a couple other tidbits. So I think I said this before. Well, no, I didn't say this during I think it was before that we started rolling. to do the chats and to do anything that has tool calling, which is critically important. We're going to have lots of fun with that. You really can only use OpenAI today.
Okay.
So the Proof Chat will, until there's some issues with the generate response from model script step that just basically makes all the other providers and custom providers not handle tool calling, which is a really cool thing. And I don't have time to get into it now, but we'll do it this week. So you kind of need OpenAI to get chats to really do what you want and to do tool calling.
Okay.
But other things you don't. Like what we just saw doesn't need OpenAI. You could do this with the open models. You could do this with the models that run on FileMaker server. But again, not your production server, running on a second AI server. I don't know if this was clear, just in case people don't know. Claris has said that as long as you're not using FileMaker server on a second server, if you're just installing the AI server and you're only using that, it does not count towards your FileMaker server licenses.
Oh, I didn't know that. I missed that memo.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's important. So there's no reason you should definitely, if you can get a better AI server, do that. Install FileMaker server on it and install the AI services on that, and just don't, set users to 0 and put no files on it, and you'll be fine.
Yes.
And all the juice will go to the AI server, and FileMaker will just sit there doing nothing. Eventually, they're going to make it so you can do that worker thing where you install a second server and it won't even install FileMaker server on that second one.
Yeah, I think they've talked about wanting to do that. So yeah.
Yes. So yeah, that was confirmed actually also one of our AI streams, I think with Ronnie Rios. So
Okay, yeah.
And that's going to be cool. The models will get better. Just last week, or 2 weeks ago, we got 2 new models from the Chinese companies. Alibaba did. No, actually, Google. Well, no, one was Google. Actually, 3 really. Google Gemma 3N, small model, but designed to run on devices, should work on the Claris AI server at some point. And then Alibaba released a new version of Qwen, which seems to be as good as Claude Sonnet for coding and things. And then a new company, Moonshot. Well, they're not new; they've been around. A new model, Kimi K2, which is basically as good as, as good as GPT 4.1 for sure. And so those are all coming to serverless inference and things like that, or even probably not Kimi K2 or Qwen, but the Gemma 3N model, I think we can get that to run on FileMaker server, and that should do quite well.
Well, once again, it's a lot of models and it's a lot of holy shit, didn't work, now what, right? So
that's what I say, like, especially if you're just experimenting. OpenAI is not that expensive if you stay away from the O4 models. Stay away from the expensive models. Just use GPT 4.1 and 4.1 mini. Yeah, that's going to let you explore a lot of this, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money. And you pretty much can, you don't have to worry about the model being bad or not being powerful enough. And then you can later try experimenting. Can I run this with Llama 3.3 or something like that? And then you'll have a better idea. But to start, I would remove the problem of, am I using a good enough model, and just stick with OpenAI. Use sample data for a while until you're sure about when data is getting sent to the model and things like that. And GPT 4.1 will do pretty much most of what you're going to need, and it's not that expensive. And 4.1 mini is pretty cheap. So
okay, cool. That's a good advice. Then we're saying use 4.1, and if it doesn't work,
start with that. It's not going to crush you.
Blame Todd. Just blame Todd if it doesn't.
It's not going to crush you. You're going to learn. You're going to know it's a good model, and it's going to do tool calling. It's going to do all the fun things, and then later figure out if you can use a lesser model or an open model that's cheaper, or not. You don't want to go to the OpenAI.
Cool. All right. Cool.
Yep.
Well, tomorrow's another day. We're going to run. We're going to pretty much run long every day, Todd. Just so you know, if you're okay with that.
Oh yeah.
I got a note from
considering how far we got today.
I just got a note from Rick Kalman at Claris, says you can run it 3 or 4 hours. It's okay with him. So yes.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to stop causing problems now. Thank you, Todd, very much for coming on. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for coming. See you also tomorrow. It's going to be an exciting week. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it.